Hello, this is infrastructure leader Shankar Chandran here. I'm here to share about Data Center 2 and its evolving technologies. I guess, with various, topics and various resources, you guys would have built some knowledge about data center, the current trend of data center. But what I'm going to be covering about here is about how it is going to evolve and the concepts behind the Data Center 2. I want to qualify here, this is not an approach, this is real data center concepts which people can use, and leadership, it's important that the leadership understand it, because this has a business side of it, a lot of positive business sides around it. So we are talking about Data Center 2 here. Just to start with, I would give you probably a few second introduction about what data center is. A data center is primarily a hosted area for network infrastructure, IT, server infrastructure, storage, and call it any IT infrastructure. It's as a hosted area. Probably a platform, but what's supporting it is a very high availability in supporting infrastructure like power, air conditioning system, and the process supporting features like concurrent maintenance and etc. So that is a data center. Now let's try to go and take a little step into what a traditional data center was built. That was Data Center 1.0. So look at the robo steps that we used to do traditionally. We used to do a site survey, and then we prepare the site, and then we do the construction aspects and then do the commissioning aspects. Now, whole of these 4 steps would take pretty much 2 years at the minimum, because hopefully if you don't get into any duns around the business cases being delayed or rejected, and this 2 would probably eventually be 3. And then we're talking about one environment for ready services. Let's look at Data Center 2. So you've built one center and one complete floor, and then it's got a high capital cost because you put the whole thing into the room, and then the cost of managing each of the systems were very high, and then upgrade of this larger data center was pretty expensive. And if you have to tweak it to your requirements, let's say you have built a tier 2 plus and or tier 3, all of a sudden generation changes and you want to go for tier 2, you cannot change. You have to go back and redo the whole thing again, or you can do a little add-ons, but it's too complex and it would involve a lot of shutdowns and maintenance taking place. So, having given this background, I'm trying to introduce you to a new concept called Data Center 2 that's evolving, and that's the trend that's coming up, and then I will give you the leadership benefit around it and the benefit for the business side of it. I'm not doing a sales pitch here, I'm just putting up my business view. So I hope the leadership gets that message. So Data Center 2 represents a fundamental shift in how things are integrated together, right? In the earlier philosophy, we were talking about trying to build an environment with air conditioning, with UPS to a certain degree of scalability. Here we're talking about trying to just have a building in place and build and then have just a floor, but just build the power requirement in a scalable fashion. Let's say we're building a data center with 10,000 square feet. You probably would have business assumption that I'm going to build 30% of it. So build probably to be on the positive side, build 40% of power requirements, but build enough capacity on your grid lines to ensure you scale up. And then keep the environment open, and let's see how it turns out to be an effective, scalable data center. And then you try to evolve a data center 2, and then you're saying how it's going to build. So let's ask, what is data center 2? So you build a room with power, and let's say you are now going into a market and are going to a vendor and say, hey, you know what, I want a box, which is pretty much called a rack. I don't want to call it a rack because a rack comes with a specific design. Let's say you put 10 racks together, bundle it, but some design aspects where you're able to pull it out like a cage, and then you put an automated power control systems inside, and then put effectively some air conditioning aspects to it, and build some intelligence into it so that everything is programmable. What I meant by it, programmable. So you are effectively designed a box which has 10 rack space. I'm talking about considerations, and eventually I'll go here. So you're talking about programmable environment, and then say you have a blend of IT services starting from email, application, and then a network side of it. And based on your optimum investment plan, You're trying to say, you know what, this is my least available system. I don't need this to have a tier 3. I probably am okay with tier 2. But my email is important, very important for my business. So I need this to be in the tier 3 environment. My network, I cannot afford a downtime, I need it to be in the tier 4. So what you do is you're going to choose your racks and say, you know what, based on the sizes, I'm going to spot rack 9 and 10 for network, and probably 8 and 7 for email servers, and the rest of it for generic applications. Go back into the programmable environment, program these, and your data center is on the fly and ready. How does it look? That is data center 2. I was really talking about data center 2. Let me jump in to see how it really works and how it looks. Let's go ahead and talk about agility, right? Not all applications are equal, and that's what I was talking about. This supporting a kind of environment which you feel is right for business, right? So let's take this example. You're talking about an ERP, you're talking about cloud, CRM, and backup. Each of them have a different availability requirements and tier requirements. Cloud, you position yourself as important, and obviously you say, I'm going to put this in tier 4, and then you put the rest 3 in a tier 2 environment. That was possible in data center 2, but in 1, no. So what we're talking about was agile as a first benefit, and then you're talking about reliability because you are programming it. You are programming the tiering level of and it's got an inbuilt resilience factor. Look at the design. It's got a security aspect, perimeter for the tenant. Don't bother about what happens in the premises, but eventually you know what's happening out here. And then you have an empty shell that you started with, and then you have a console, aggregating console for logically managing things. You're moving away from physical perimeter security bottleneck to into a logical environment. And then you're talking about sustainability because this environment is programmable, and it is you who decides how you want to do, and then you can swap things, right? You can move things away from one place to another place. It's all controllable. And then you're talking about security because everything is now programmable and manageable. How does this look? Because everything is you who's deciding. You decide everything how you want based on the business evolution that's taking place and the driving factors around how the market conditions are. So let's go and take a deep dive into how this is evolving the business requirement. So this is just a high level view. I want you to remember this because this is what you're going to use to see whether the data center really supports this because this is the baseline. And here again you're talking about just still remembering tier 1 you have a maintenance time of 30. Tier 2 you have a maintenance time of 22. Tier 3 1.6 and then again 4 hours, right? I want to make a little correction here, the slight correction here. This is not 4 hours, but this is actually 40 minutes. I want to qualify that. 40 minutes, tier 1. So tier 4. So let's go back to the next slide to see how the data center 2 really works. Now I'm trying to put together a graphical view just to explain things, and of course you have an option of coming back to me for feedback, and I can change things if required, right? So you're talking about, let's say you are going to order a box, right? Which is defined one size fit too many, right? It's not the earlier one of data center 1 where you build everything with standard specification and that is what was available for everyone. Here it's not true. You're ordering a box, a standard box, but it will fit the bill for every requirement that any organization would be. And then we're talking about having a programmable upload environment. And then look at this. If the rack was having a capability of 10 racks, 5 on the front and 5 at the back, and then you want to classify these zones as tier 2 zone and this as tier 4 and tier 2, you use this manageable environment to program it, and then your data center 2 is ready for your business. And then look at the comparisons of where you started and where you move and how your data center 2 fits your next generation requirement. All applications share the same requirement, which means it was designed for tier 3, and that's what you pay for and that's what you get. If you're scaling down, no, your bill is not reducing. But look at how your requirement change. It's a design fit for one need, but then it meets various options. You change up. ERP, you want to position tier 4 where it can be programmed, and then the business side of it pays a little more. Cloud requires tier 2, you pay a little, and then backup needs nothing, because if it goes, yeah, you have the living system, and then you can bring it back, you pay little. Now let's say, let's take another concept, you have bought a data center, and then over a course of time you have taken left turn, right turn, various turns have taken place, and then you have been able to fill only these. You can talk to another subsidiary company of yours, parent company to come back and occupy this, but it's just that this is part of your private cloud, right? So you have the financial benefits, you have the configuration benefits, and it is a programmable environment. So that's what we're talking about in terms of the flexibility that the data center approach gives. The biggest approach benefit that you get from this is about the lead time. You don't take 2 years of lead time to build this environment. This is made to order. You order it and it is made and delivered to you probably in 1 month, and then you go back and connect it and you program it and it's on the fly, and you can start building everything out probably in about 90 days, right? Your return of investment starts in 90 days and not after 2 years. So that's the concept that I want to share with you in terms of how this is evolving. And leaders, I want you to ensure that you go through this to see what the business benefit you can get when you're trying to compare this against the planning that you're doing, a strategic plan. Because this is eventually the one which is going to take place. Probably the future edition will talk about more benefits, but I guess this is a good start for you to start planning. Thank you very much, and any feedback, kindly share that with me.